So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started right now with the Advanced Smartphone Settings class. Now this is going to be based on iPhones and iPads. It's called Advanced Smartphone, so some things will be only iPhone, but a lot of it will work over the iPad. I've given you my loaner iPhone, so if you come to something you can't get on an iPad, you've got the loaner iPhone. So we're going to start talking about all of these different things. I've got a couple interesting cases, I've got a couple interesting gadgets, a couple interesting things that you'll be like, that's pretty cool. So the first thing I want to talk about is different phone cases. Now, if you remember, if you came to Tech Tea Time, that was a couple of days ago, I showed off a case. There's a new case coming around called the iPhone case, E-Y-E, phone case. And it's a case for your iPhone that has an Android phone built in on the back of it. So you can carry around an iPhone and an Android. That product is completely made up. It's never going to exist. But what I want you to do is I want you to hold your cases in the air because I want to look at some phone cases because I want to show you some stuff about phone cases. Okay, so we've all got some interesting phone cases. I'm going to pick your case. I'm looking for some good cases and I'm looking for some bad cases. I'm going to pass back the phone stuff within my own spectrum. I'm looking for something on the cases. Let me see the back of yours. Okay. So I've got a couple of different cases, and I want to talk about these different cases here. And you're going to wave to me who's got which phone when we finish this. So we're going to start with this case. Whose is this? This is yours? Yep. Reasonably good case. Important thing is we want the case to have a lip. So we want to make sure if this phone were to go whack, it would still be okay. Does that make sense? We want that case to make sure it has a lip. If it goes whack, we're good. Now, I picked these two cases, one for this one, and this one. Do you see the clear around the cases?
Yep.
This is actually really bad in a case. I want to explain to you why. If you were to use the flash, clear is going to reflect the flash, and it's going to make the flash overexposed. I'm trying to explain this. So I'm not saying you have a terrible case, but I'm saying
I'm getting a new one anyway.
You're getting a new one anyways. So what you want to pay attention to is that you have a dark color surrounding the camera lens. So you want to have, if you look at the back, you should have a dark color. I'm going to pass these, right phone?
No, other one.
Other phone, okay. Other phone? Or other phone? You want to have a dark color surrounding the camera lens, which is important. Now, if you look at the back of your phone, who else doesn't have a dark? Most of you have a darkish color. Yeah, that's a darkish color. That's a darkish color. We're going to get to that case in a minute. You've got the pink. That's okay. But here's the thing. They have a lot of cases that have a white color, and when you shoot off the flash, does the color white reflect the flash? Yes. Yeah. The color white reflects the flash, and you're going to kind of get in like a little echo chamber, and your flash is going to work slightly differently, just to give you an idea there. Now, I'm going to show you my favorite case. This is a case for the iPhone 7 Plus. This also exists for the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6 Plus. It doesn't exist for it exists for the iPhone 5, but not in this metric I'm going to show you. This is called the Mophie Juice Pack Air. Love this case. I got it about 3 or 4 weeks ago. It is on my list. It's right on the top.
Number one.
It's number one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's called the Mophie Juice Pack Air. And what's really unique about this case is it's a case. You notice it's got the color black on it, but it's a battery case. So what this is a lot of people find this strange. I've taught a whole bunch of classes today. I did one this morning, I did one now, and you will look at what my battery percentage still is. It is still 100%. Anybody else got a phone whose battery is at 100%?
No.
You haven't been teaching 2 classes today, so I taught the whole. But I taught the whole iCloud class today, and my phone's still 100% because it doesn't weigh that much. That's why it's called the Mophie Juice Pack Air, but it actually has a really cool trick to it that I'm going to show you. So not only does it give me additional battery life, but here's one of the really cool things it does. If I wanted to charge, my phone's actually charging right now, so I'm going to turn it off from charging. You see that it's not charging right now. It's at 100%. If I wanted to charge, I just take it and I put it down on one of these mats right here. Now it comes with the mat, and you'll see the single mat is actually mounted under my computer over there. There's something on it. There's a little black mat, but this one is a triple mat, which has something on it called Qi wireless charging. It's spelled QI. That's how they spell Qi. But it has Qi wireless charging on it, and if I take a look and I put it right here, come on, don't shame me. There we go. So you see it's charging. Now, what I have this by the side of my bed. I charge my iPhone. If I want to charge my Android phone.
How about your watch?
Not yet. Well, actually, yes. The answer to the watch, actually, when I borrowed my other phone I loaned you. And without plugging in a single phone, I can now charge 3 iPhones. A lot of new cars are being built with this technology inside of it, right in the glove box. It's got cheese, so you don't even have to plug it in. Now, you said an interesting question, and I avoided it, and then I realized, oh yeah, there's a USB port right there. You plug in your Apple Watch charger. This is exactly where I plug in my Apple Watch charger. What I've done on this USB port is I actually have a USB in, and I have a 4-port USB hub that comes out of it. And I plug in 4 things. I plug in all 4 of my watches. Don't ask why I have 4 watches. But I plug in all 4 of my watches there.
What's that called?
So, here's the cool thing. Where do you think sells, so this is the Mophie Juice Pack Air, and you can buy from Mophie, let me hand that back to you. You can buy from Mophie a charger that comes with it. Some of them come with the charger, but what's cool is they have car ones, they have desk ones, they have all of that. Qi, though, QI charging, is an open standard. So this is from, of all places, where would anybody guess where this is from?
Amazon.
No, not Amazon.
Target.
No, not Target.
Walmart.
I'll let you read the label right there.
IKEA.
IKEA!
Oh, wow.
IKEA actually makes furniture with built-in wireless chargers. So this is from, of all places, IKEA.
And what's it called?
So, yeah. You ever asked what something's called from IKEA before? You know it's going to have some weird name. This is the Nordmark 3. Nordma with 2 dots on top of it. RKE 3.
Now that only works with the,
Here's the magic answer. So I'm going to remove my name tag. It's going to be like a magic trick. Yeah, it's disappeared. Okay, so here's the magic answer. Right now, this will work with, do you have your Samsung phone on you?
Yes.
Just for fun, I'll show you. It'll work with her Samsung phone. No problem, because her Samsung phone has wireless charging built in. So if I take her Samsung phone, I don't know if it's going to work through the Sparkle case, but we're about to find out. The Sparkle
Does
case.
it work through any cases?
It works through some cases. Yeah, she's just got a big sparkly case. I can pop her.
I
in.
lost a phone having a black case.
Here we go. So she's got the sparkly case. If I take her phone and put it right there, now her phone's actually charging. So her phone doesn't have an indicator like the iPhone, but you can definitely see that the phone's charging right there. And wireless charging's paused, wireless charging started, it's at 80%. So for fun, if she needs a little juice up on her phone, she can leave it right there. It's been built into Samsung phones for the past few years. It's not built into Apple phones because you can't charge wirelessly through metal. You can charge wirelessly through glass, which is what's on the back of the Samsung phones, or you can charge wirelessly through plastic, with what's on the back of this case. You can't charge wirelessly through
so
metal.
you're not charging your phone, you're only charging the pack.
Interesting question. I'm charging the pack, which has power management on it to direct the power to the phone first and the battery pack in the case second. There are a lot of people who make these battery packs. Mophie and all kinds of other places like that make these battery packs. The Mophie is the only one that charges the phone first, charges the battery case second. Does that make sense there? So they're the only one that really does it in that order. And I've got it right there. And my phone will stay at 100%. Let me see how much I have left. Oh, wow. I hardly used any battery today. Because what it is I have these all over. So when I'm up here in the iLounge and I'm not using my phone,
It just
I
sits
drop
there.
it there. When I'm in my cabin and I went to lunch, I left my phone there. It sits there and it just charges, which is what's really
You
cool.
went
To lunch
somewhere without
without
your
my phone? Yeah, it's very strange. No. Let me clear that up. I went somewhere without that phone. I switched for another phone and I took another phone that was sitting on the charger all
You
morning.
redeemed yourself.
I've redeemed myself. I have 6 phones. Don't worry about me. Yeah.
Richard,
Six phones.
aren't we supposed to let the charge go down to like 10%?
Let's get there. So here's the cool thing. I like to call this class the psychic class. Why I call it the psychic class is because
You know what we're gonna
I know exactly what you're going to ask, and we're going to address all of those questions. But here's the thing. None of you really have a multi-use case like this. One of the cases that I really did not like, I'm going to tell you, I'm not picking on anybody. Can you pass me your phone real
You
quick?
can't use
Sure,
that case
like
you had with the Apple phone.
What? This case?
Yeah.
This is an iPhone.
Well, yeah, but you said you can't. You
Yeah.
can't.
You have to have the case. You can't. So the Samsung phone you could do without the case.
Yeah, but you.
It charges
It charges the case, which in turn charges the phone. So I'll just show you. I'll show you because you asked. I want to show you what's in the case. It's a good question. No, it's a good question. I'll take the question. So if I look in the case, you'll see at the bottom of the case there's a lightning plug. So the phone just goes into the lightning plug, which then charges the phone, which is really...
And you can still charge that with a cable if you want.
Yes, you can still charge with the cable. I'm going to tell you one unfortunate thing, is it charges with micro USB, not USB-C. I will pass this guy around so you can feel the weight on him and stuff like that. This is the biggest one of them. It keeps an extra charge in it for the 7 Plus. Just I'll pass it around. Don't make it disappear. But it's a really cool case, and that's from a company called Mophie. Now the next thing I want to talk about is screen protectors. How many of you have a screen protector on your phone? How many of you don't have a screen protector on your phone? Okay. Now, oh, hold on. Back up. I stole her phone for a reason. I forgot her case. I loved the LifeProof cases until they got bought by OtterBox. You know OtterBox. We have some OtterBox cases. LifeProof was killing OtterBox. Absolutely murdering OtterBox. So what did OtterBox go do? They bought them. And they've cheapened the quality of the way they made the cases after the 6. Now, when you make a phone call on this, let me ask you an honest question. The phone doesn't sound too great on there. You're like,
apparently other people don't think it sounds great, and also
Yeah.
my mute button doesn't work.
your mute button doesn't work. I have a lot of big problems with this case. Now, since the iPhone 6S, the iPhone 6S and above have been waterproof, if that makes sense. They
That's
never...
why I bought that. I
Yeah.
jumped in a river to catch my dog, and my last phone.
Your last phone. So if you get an iPhone 7, it's actually fully waterproof. Apple's never going to warranty it for that because they can't tell what depth it's gone to. But the iPhone, I mean, the problem is that this case has a membrane that protects the phone, and that membrane makes you sound like more. So these are great if you're cool using a pair of Bluetooth headphones, which is something we're going to get to a bit later on today. But
Well, I'm due for a new phone.
you're due for a new phone anyway. So the right answer is an iPhone 7 Plus, and I love that Mophie case. And just so you know, this is a note for the ladies. They do make it in colors too. That charging case that I'm passing around, they do make in pretty lady colors. What? It's about $100. Not that bad. Very cool for you as well. Do you have a problem with battery life on your phone? Sometimes. So this.
I thought that was Verizon's.
No. This is the same case for the Samsung S7. So they do make the same exact case for the S7. But back to screen protectors. How many of you have screen protectors on? Do you know the purpose of the screen protector?
Protect the screen.
To protect. Ask a dumb question. So this is my screen protector I had on my iPhone until very recently. I want to show you this screen protector. Now I have a new screen protector on my iPhone. I want to talk about it. Now if you have a screen protector and you have a plastic screen protector, it's not really doing any good. You need to have a glass screen protector on your device. I'm going to tell you where to get these, but I want to tell you exactly how I broke this screen protector. I'm actually going to go in because I'm going to show you some tiny stuff today on the screen. I'm going to turn my grid off. There's no reason for you guys to do that, but I'm going to turn off the grid on the camera that we turned on the other day, just so you can see this a lot better. So if I go in, do you see that tiny little crack in the corner? I might have to turn on the light. I'm going to turn it over to video. I'm going to turn on the light. There's you can see it, but I don't want you to pay attention to the big crack. I want you to pay attention to that tiny little crack. You see that right there?
Yeah.
Yep.
That was in the corner right there?
Yeah.
I had my iPhone on my bed. Don't ask why I do this. And I threw my MacBook Pro on my bed. And my MacBook Pro hit the side of my iPhone and cracked that little piece of, the little tiny corner. As soon as it cracked the corner, the structural integrity of the entire piece of glass is compromised. So just when I took off the glass, do you see all those cracks?
Yeah.
If I were to throw something on my Mac again, what do you think would happen to the glass screen protector? No, it's already shattered. It would disintegrate and the actual screen would get destroyed. The integrity of a glass screen protector is one of the most useful things, is to have the structural integrity. You see how much integrity that has on it once it's broken? So you want to put a glass screen protector on your screen. Now you mentioned something before the class. She said, oh, that's one of those ZAG screen protectors. Glass screen protectors are one of those things that generally you can just go on Amazon and buy a glass screen protector and get a reasonably good one. I always buy my glass screen protectors in packs of 2 because you always want to have an extra for when you break it. I've broken a couple glass screen protectors over the years, but here's the thing. If your phone falls down and the glass screen protector breaks, is it better that the $8 piece of glass breaks or the phone breaks? But I'm crazy. When I travel, I bring extra screen protectors for all of my phones with me because I guess I'm neurotic and I'm crazy. Now, do any of you have plastic screen protectors?
Yeah.
They do you not much good. They just prevent from scratching, and the glass is strong enough to not scratch anyway. So you're not going to worry about a gash coming in your screen or anything like that, but you've got a piece of glass. Now, this is also why when we talked about the Apple Watch the other day, I said you don't want to get the entry-level one. You want to go one up because you have sapphire glass on the one up. I will tell you, last night, I was going to the bathroom. My bathroom is so huge. I'm going to the bathroom. I stretched out, and my watch hit the bottom of my sink really hard. If that were the normal glass, the Ion X glass, which is the same thing that's on the phone, that glass would be shattered. Fortunately, I have the sapphire one, and it's very, 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 very difficult to break sapphire. Now, here's the interesting thing. If you have an iPhone, when we're just talking about glass, you also have 2 pieces of sapphire on your iPhone. You probably don't know that you have 2 pieces of sapphire on your iPhone, but the home button, if you have the fingerprint scanner on it, that's a piece of sapphire. The lens in the back, that's a piece of sapphire. So it doesn't get scratched. Anything that needs optical quality, because there's an optical scanner underneath there. So we actually have a piece of sapphire on the camera glass and on there. So remember, glass screen protector, you can buy them on Amazon. Just look at the ratings. You can buy them on Amazon, a 2-pack for $10.
Is that sapphire then?
No, you don't, not sapphire, just a normal glass.
Normal glass?
Yeah,
And
normal glass.
Is it easy to put on?
It is, so I'm going to teach you how to, I'll tell you how to put it on. It's actually a good question. They're never going to tell you this in the instructions. I'll tell you how to put it on. So what you do is when you go on Amazon, just look for a glass screen protector for your phone that's rated 4 stars or more, and you're good to go. Now, she said, how do you put it on? Now, here's my secret to putting on. Do any of you have one put on perfectly that you put on yourself?
Yes.
You did it? You got it? No bubbles? Nothing like that?
I was
This is the
perfect.
Zag.
He's good. You got lucky. How'd you do it?
I got right to do it.
He got him to do it. Okay. Here's the secret to glass screen
I
protectors.
got the Zag on.
You got the Zag. Did you put it on?
Yes.
Okay, well then, congratulations. But the secret to screen protectors is you do it in the bathroom. You might say, what are you talking about? How I put on screen protectors is I heat up the bathroom, so the bathroom mirrors get all foggy and stuff like that, and then I go do it in the bathroom because when you have all that moisture in the air, all of the dust drops to the floor. It makes it a dust-free environment, so you won't get dust on the screen. Because the moisture will drop the dust to the ground, it'll condense. So you just turn on the bathroom shower and high for like 2-3 minutes. Let it steam up the bathroom. I only need it on for about 30 seconds in my bathroom on board, and I put on screen protectors all the time. I go, bathroom shower, 30 seconds, screen protector, done. That's the way I do it. You don't want to get any moisture, but you just bring in the phone, introduce it, screen protector, finished. Does that make sense to everyone? Uh-oh. Oh no, that's just crap. Oh no, maybe I cracked my new screen protector again. Oh look. Guess who's getting a new glass screen protector when he goes back to his cabin?
Right after your shower.
Right after my shower. What you'll see is, seriously, you can see right there, you see that
Yep.
crack right there? The entire structural integrity of that screen protector is now finished, and I'm at the end of my screen protectors, so I'm going to order more on Amazon. Between me and you, I'm going to order more on Amazon. But that's when we talk about glass screen protectors. Does anybody have my case? I've got to put my case back on now that my screen protector's been compromised. The wireless charging case? It's okay. Where did it disappear to? Ah, perfect.
At the door.
Okay, so I got my case right here. I'm going to put it back on. Now, we've talked about the charging cases. We've talked about all that. We need to talk about when to charge and what to charge with. Valid questions that you've probably never had answered properly before. So, how many of you know when you should charge your device?
Depends on the percentage.
Okay, it depends on the percentage. What's your logic on the percentage? I want to hear the logic you know before we...
Anything below 30, you put it on.
Not true, but continue. I'm going to give you the logic, so you'll understand the logic.
It's more 80.
It's not 80, it's not 30. Here's the thing to understand. The iPhone is designed for a specific number of charge cycles. What that means is going from 0 to 100. So, you can go from 0 to 100 on an iPhone about 500 times before it reaches what's called its half-life. Half of its original design capacity. We get that? So you can charge it between 0 and 100 as many, up to 500 times before it goes to half of its capacity. A charge cycle counts as 100 points. So, going from 0 to 100 is one charge cycle. But going from 80 to 100 5 times, is also one charge cycle. So a charge cycle can be broken up in that way. Now, laptops, 30% holds true. Laptops, things like that, 30% holds true. On the iPhone, though, it's not really that important with the 30%. What you want to make sure you do is just charge your phone as you need to charge your phone. Yep.
I have one wee little question, because you guys never answered your phone. I got the.
Okay, if this is internet related, Guest
Yeah.
Relations is able to help you
Do you
out.
have to log out?
If you have unlimited, you don't need to log out. No. So
Okay,
Guest
well, we
Relations
have-
can help you after that.
We have
Yeah.
2 devices.
Yeah, just log in on the other device and it'll go in.
Oh, and when this one's off?
It'll knock it off. Yep.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Okay.
That's it. It looks very
Okay.
Irish, very
Cool.
Irish.
Okay. So, continuing on, where were we?
Laptops reaching.
Laptops, charging. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we metric the percentages. Does that make sense? We metric the percentages. We understand just what we're doing. So there is no harm. It's the same harm to go from 90 to 100 7 times as it is to go from 30 to 100 1 time. You have a number of charge cycles, and then your battery life cuts in half. Does that make sense to all?
Is that the same for iPads?
It's the same for iPads. Now, iPads are very easy to compute the battery life. I'll get to you in a second. iPads are easy to compute the battery life because 100% battery life on an iPad is 10 hours. 100% battery life on an iPhone varies depending on what you're doing. So it really does vary depending on what you're doing to get you there.
The half-life, is that a sliding scale?
No,
Or
it's
zoom?
it's a sliding scale of sorts, but once you hit the 500, by the time you hit another about 100 above that, 600, you're going to drop to 25% of the design capacity. So there's a cliff, and you kind of, it's kind of like that, and then once you hit 500, it's.
Okay.
So the idea is the phones are supposed to last for about 3 years. That's why if you have an iPhone 5S still, your battery life curve is just kind of starting to not work as well anymore. Also, very important, never leave the battery on your device depleted. What I mean by that, some people have an iPad that they leave in their winter home, if that makes sense. They have an iPad they leave in their winter home. You leave that iPad in your winter home, you come back, guess what? If it's not charged, you're never going to charge it again. That's the trouble. So the batteries need to be charged at least once a month. So you need to make sure, even if you have an older device. So I had an older iPhone. I make sure I go through and I charge my batteries at least once a month, because if I don't, guess what? They're dead. Batteries need some electricity inside of them.
What do you
What?
go down to?
So here's the thing. Do you leave it plugged in? There is no danger to leaving your device plugged in as long as you, again, it says like a psychic thing, what to charge with, which is what we're going to get there in a few seconds, what to charge with. What do you let it go down to? It's up to you. It's up to you. Just understand that you have 100% 500 times. So really just charge it whenever. So if you're leaving the house, say you're leaving the house and you get in the car. And between when you take the charger off, take it off the charger in the house and you get in the car, it's at 95%. Then you take it, you put it in the car, you put it on the charger in the car, you go up to 5%, you're good to go. The logic is just over time. Now here's the thing, we're going to be actually charging our phones less over time. As weird as this sounds, because I don't know if I should say this, but once Apple puts a glass back on a phone and allows wireless charging, as soon as Apple does it, every place is going to have wireless charging mats. You know that. You're going to be able to walk into every restaurant, put your phone on the table, and it's going to charge. Apple just joined the Wireless Power Consortium, which is the company that runs Qi. They wouldn't have joined that power consortium unless
Without a reason.
They just joined Qi. Yeah.
But if you have this case
If
on
you have that
all the
case
time,
all the time, then you have wireless charging built into the phone. So these
then
most.
you don't have to worry about the battery life.
So good question. Good question. Yeah, I understand her logic. So here's the thing. I have this case on. My phone's at 99% instead of 100%. It's been 100% all day. I haven't touched a single cycle in my battery. I've touched a cycle in this case. Worst case scenario, 2 years from now, I can throw away this case, and I can buy a new one of these cases. Because the case has the same cycle theory. It has what's called no memory effect. So it doesn't care where you charge it, just how many times you charge it, that percentage. So what these cases, what I always recommend, do any of you have a battery case already? If you have a battery case, this is hard for my dad to understand. He has one of these. You need to deplete the battery in the case first, and then go to the phone's battery. Elsewise, what you're going to do is you're going to waste extra energy charging up an already dead battery on your phone. That makes sense. So deplete that battery first, and you'll see that I have 2 little bars that show me that this case is at 50%, but my phone is still at 100%. Cool? Makes sense. Okay, So you asked, how long do I keep it plugged in? You know, can I keep it plugged in all night? Now I'll tell you, all night, I leave this on a little charger, and it just does its thing. No problem, no harm, no foul. So I leave it there on a little charger. Beautiful.
What about the iPhone itself charged?
The iPhone itself, if you use an official Apple charger or with an official Apple partner, you can leave your phone plugged in. I am 100% sure you've all heard stories of iPhones lighting on fire and exploding. Yes? If you haven't, they exist. I have no problem admitting that they exist. Apple is not better than Samsung per se in that regard, but here's the thing to understand. Those Samsung phones that were exploding were using the original Samsung power adapter. The iPhones that exploded were using cheap Chinese knockoff power adapters. So you can charge it. So here's the logic. You can charge an iPhone, you can charge an iPad with an iPhone charger, you can charge an iPhone with an iPad charger. Personally, I believe that the 7 Plus and the 6 Plus should come with an iPad charger because it can accept the charge for the iPad charger. So it can definitely accept the charge for the iPad charger. But you don't want to charge an iPad with an iPhone charger because how long is that going to take? Takes forever. You've done it before.
Oh, yeah.
You want to charge the phone. You can charge your iPhone with an iPad charger. You can charge it with a higher charger. Just charge it with a charger from a legitimate company. So I want to show you a cool charger that I have. You'll notice in your cabin,
It's not bothering you.
in your cabin, you have so many plugs in your cabin, right? There's so many plugs. There's like 20 plugs, and you can plug in absolutely everything you want to plug in your cabin. Am I correct in that assumption? So there's a company, yeah, you probably bought this because I showed it last year. Don't worry. There's a company called Anker, A-N-K-E-R, and they make this guy. This is called the Anker 5-port turbo USB power adapter. It's called the Anker 5-port turbo USB power adapter. And what this does is there's one outlet inside the desk, and I have 5 outlets right on here. So if you have a husband and wife, you can plug in your iPhone, and your iPad, and your iPhone, and your iPad, and one of your Apple Watches. Or maybe your camera or your GoPro, something like that. You've only got 5. So Anker figured out that that's not enough. Now, anything you buy from Anker is Apple certified. So then I have this one that's got 7. So you can plug in iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, iPhone, iPad, and you've got one extra. I have one down in my cabin that charges 8. Just to give you an idea, they make them in all shapes and sizes. Here's the thing though. Anker is a legitimate brand. You can buy Anker, anything from Anker, A-N-K-E-R. It's the next thing on the list. So you can buy anything from Anker right on that list, and I've got right there. Now here's the nice thing. All 5 or 7 of these ports are iPad chargers.
So they're all equal.
They're all equal. The ones you'll buy in the store, some of them are iPhone chargers, and some of them are iPad chargers. Some of them are 2.1 amps, and some of them are 1 amp, to give you a perspective there. So you have iPhone and iPad chargers built right in. This is an iPad charger right here. Does that make sense to all of us there?
How much do those things cost?
How much do these things cost? Okay, I'm going to tell you something that's going to make your brain hurt a little bit. This gadget costs less than a single Apple power adapter. So the Apple power adapter for an iPad is $29. This guy ranges about somewhere between $20 and $23.
Amazon.
Amazon. Anker exclusively sells at Amazon until I happened upon a Walmart about 3 months ago that Walmart's now selling Anker as well. That's weird that Walmart now sells it. It's spelled A-N-K-E-R, and they make these little power adapters, but what they also make, which is the next thing on the list, is Anker battery packs. So this is my Anker battery pack, and I use this thing like absolutely crazy. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. This guy is 20,000 milliamp hours. Now, I need to put that in perspective. Your phone has 2,500. This has 20,000. So in theory, this can recharge your phone 8 times or so. I haven't charged these battery packs in 2 weeks. I run everything off of it. I've got my iPad running off of it right now. This little camera in Celebrity Central runs off an Anker battery pack. I have 3 or 4 of these different battery packs that float around. Thing is, if you go to the store and you buy a battery pack, the biggest one you're going to buy in the store is about a 5,000 milliamp hour one. I'll show you what a, no, I don't have that bag. I'll show you what a 4,000 one or so looks like. This is a 4,000, just so you can see the size. I have one. I showed you this the other day. This is the Jackery Bolt. We got the Jackery Bolt right here. Here's the Jackery Bolt. This is 6,000. So is that 6,000? It's pretty big. That's 6,000, but this is 20,000. When I take this out on a shore excursion, I charge both my phone and everybody else's phone on the bus off of it. I give everybody a top up to give you a little concept there. So I can go in, and I've got it. This is from a company called Anker. They pretty much exclusively sell on Amazon. They sell on Amazon, A-N-K-E-R. So I've shown you the gadgets I want to show you. I've got some more a bit later on, but I want to move to your device now. So we're going to move, if you have an iPhone, let's stick to your iPhone, because some of these things will only be on an iPhone. A lot of them will be on an iPad as well, but the first one is something called low power mode. Have any of you ever heard of that or used it? The reason you've probably used it is because you've gotten your battery below 20%. When I get my battery below 50%, I start hyperventilating. Let me be completely honest. My battery doesn't go below 50%. Never. Because for my battery to go below 50%, I have to deplete this entire case, and I've used battery cases forever, and deplete half of the actual battery inside of my device. So it takes a lot to get it. But if you go into your settings, so we're going to now follow along. Just jump on your device. You go into settings. You go into battery. So settings, battery, and then you will see something that says low power mode. Do you see that?
Yes.
Settings, battery, and low power mode. I want you to turn on low power mode. Now, what color does your battery turn?
Yellow.
Yellow. Now, I want to tell you what low power mode does. And I'm going to read it out loud, and then I'm going to translate it for you. So I'm going to read it out loud, and I'm going to translate it. Low power mode temporarily reduces the power consumption until you can fully charge your iPhone. When this is on, mail fetch, hey Siri, background app refresh, oh crap. Now what you might say is, why was Hey Shmiri? Why did Hey Shmiri work? It's because I have my phone plugged in, because it's in that case still. That's why it was still listening. Hey Shmiri, background app refresh, automatic downloads, and some visual effects are reduced or turned off. Essentially what it does is it moves your iPhone back 2 generations. What I mean by that is if you have an iPhone 7, it makes it run at the speed of the iPhone 6. If you have an iPhone 6S, it makes it run at the speed of the iPhone 5S. Why it does that is it reduces the performance of the phone to save on battery life. Because every year they make quicker and faster phones. It goes ahead and reduces the performance of the phone, so it will save on battery life. So you'll have that, and then once you get charged above 80%, it will automatically turn off low power mode. We do not want to leave low power mode on all the time to urge more battery life out of our phone. That's not going to benefit you. Understand that very simple fact. That's not going to benefit you having on low power mode all the time to do that, because your email is not going to come in. So your email is not going to come in. It's only going to come in when you go to the app and you refresh it. And no apps are going to be able to work in the background. So you don't want to leave on low power mode 24 hours a day. My dad did that and he thought he could irk some more battery life out of his phone. Didn't do me any good. I want you now to turn off low power mode, because we're going to try and do some stuff later on that's going to say, no, you can't do this if you have low power mode on. So we got low power mode off? Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is if you scroll down in battery, you should see your battery usage. Scroll down a bit. Everybody should see that. And it's going to show you the last 24 hours and the last 7 days. So it's going to show you the last 4 days. It's okay. It may just be trailing. It's okay. It'll get to the last 7 days eventually. It'll only show you 7 days maximum. Now here's the question. What's been using the majority of your battery life? Facebook. Messages? Photos? Notes? Mail? Settings. Okay. That's okay. Nobody's seen lock screen show up there?
Yeah, lock screen.
Lock screen. We're going to talk about lock screen in a couple minutes. Is your lock screen pretty high on your list? What you got?
7, 8. Under battery usage, I don't have any.
Okay, so it may still be calculating because you charged too soon. It will show up there eventually. You can check it another time. But most of us see it there. You'll see that's the last 24 hours, but I can look more realistically at the last 7 days. Now, let me be completely honest. I don't know what's causing photos, because I rarely ever use photos. I'm very interested, when I get down to my cabin later, I'm going to look at why my photos is doing so much in the background. Because I don't use photos, I use Google Photos. So I think that's very strange that my photos application is using so much. But do you see?
You had your iCloud back
You
up to
should
your
have it.
photos.
Did I do it? Not that.
Okay, it depends on your software. It says battery information will be available after using the iPhone for a few minutes. It'll take a little bit to calculate that out. As long as you have the latest iPhone software or iOS 9, you will have that on your, yeah, you're a little behind. That's why you don't have it. So you don't have the latest software. Do you see that little clock right there, if you see it though? Click on that little clock and it's going to show you how much it was causing that issue on screen and how much that app was backgrounded causing that issue.
Is
By
that
issue, I
on
mean,
the 5, on just the 5?
if you've updated the software, I think it's 5S and above to show you the battery life usage. 5S and above, if you've updated the software, you'll be able to see exactly what's going on there, and that's how we can see our battery life. We should all have low power mode off, because if we don't have low power mode off, we won't be able to do the next thing. So,
what is the background screen info you
background.
were saying?
The background app info. It means the apps wouldn't be able to update in the background. So we don't want that to happen. That means Facebook wouldn't get updates, things wouldn't get
Yeah.
updates.
No, but
So-
the little clock on the side.
Oh, this is just, okay, so you see that photos has been taking up a lot of my battery life? It was on the screen for 1 hour. In the past 24 hours, photos has been on my screen for 31 minutes. It's been working in the background for 41 minutes, and it's used 38% of the battery life I've used in the last 24 hours, the photos application.
What does it mean?
What does that mean? It means I've been looking at photos from my day in the Photos application. That's generally what that means. It's not something I normally do. I think it's because I've been showing people pictures of the airport beach and stuff like that in my Photos application. That's my logic. Yeah,
It only shows 3 minutes on screen, not
Correct.
31.
so 3 minutes on screen and 41 minutes in the background.
Okay.
Yeah, so 3 minutes on screen, 41 minutes in the background. If I look over the last week, I've got 1 hour on screen and 2.2 hours in the background, just to give you a little perspective there. Now, I want us to go up a little bit, and you should see, you might have to go back if you have an older device, you should see something that says display and brightness. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Display and brightness. Go ahead and click on display and brightness. And this is how we would adjust the brightness on our device. I'm sure we've all adjusted the brightness on our device before. So, here's the question. If I were to take the brightness and move it all the way up, is that the brightest my phone can go?
I'm gonna
Probably
say
not.
no.
So,
You turn off auto.
no, you can turn, the iPhone only goes up from 0 to 10. That you can, I'm just saying in theory, but if you get your iPhone in bright sunlight, it actually automatically goes to 11. It pushes out a bit more. The brightest the iPhone can actually get, I'm going to show you something really cool. The only way you can actually see the brightness indoors that the iPhone can actually get is to take a selfie of yourself. Watch my screen on my phone. I'm going to go right here so I can show you. Oh no, it doesn't want to show me because I'm airplaying. Let me stop airplaying real quick. Because it actually uses the front camera as a flash. The front screen as a flash. And if I take a selfie of myself, it doesn't want to do it. Here we go. Did you see it? Just watch the front of the screen again. You'll see it go up to brightness 10, right? And then for a fractional second, it's actually going to go up to brightness 11. Watch this. I'll show you on this side of the screen. You see that? Watch it one more time. You see, that's brightness level 11. Take it. You see that big flash that's going on? So when you go outside, it can actually go up to 11, but you can't manually put it up to 11. So if you have it all the way, but the auto brightness is pretty good. You should probably trust the auto brightness, because if you watch the screen, this is something you can never actually see on your device. As soon as you get up to a light source, and it's actually gone up to higher. Now you gotta get up to that light source. You can't do it by just getting near it. You gotta get up to the light source, but if you get up to the light source, and it will take it all the way. But on that same screen, you should see something that says auto lock. Do you see that? What's auto lock set at?
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Who said 5 minutes? Okay, if it's set to 5 minutes, when you were looking at the battery life thing earlier, right? Was auto lock pretty high up on the list? Or lock screen, home and lock screen, was that pretty high up on the list? The 5-minute people, unless you remember to turn the screen of your iPhone off, it's only going to lock after 5 minutes. Does that make sense there? So it's actually going to blow through some of your battery life. So if I were to turn on auto lock, now since I do this during classes and things like that, I won't turn on auto lock because I don't want my phone going off in the middle of a class. And by phone going off, I mean the screen going off on the phone in the middle of the class. But if I go in, I can turn on auto lock, and what we generally want to have it set to is between 1 and 2 minutes. So that means if you were to set the phone on the table, the screen on the phone would go off after 1 to 2 minutes. It's right in display, right underneath. Now, if you have low power mode on, it will automatically restrict auto lock to 30 seconds. So if you have low power mode on, auto lock is only at 30 seconds. Does that make sense to us all? So we want to make sure we've got auto lock at about 1 to 2 minutes. I'm going to set it to never because I'm going to set it to never. Screen brightness. Any questions about screen brightness? I'm going to show you something a bit later on in the class, how to see the screen outdoors better. Using something called invert colors. Yeah, you
Nope.
seem like you got something. Okay.
Nope.
Yep.
I'm just moving.
Okay.
You wanna mention night shift?
That's later. That's
Oh,
later.
that's
We'll get to
later.
there. We'll get to there.
Okay.
It's almost like I've taught this class before, you know. Okay, so sleep versus shutdown. How many of you shut down your phone? What I mean by shut down? Why? Just because you don't want to hear from people?
Turn it right off?
Yeah, turn it all the way off.
Power down.
Power down.
Yeah.
Why? Airplane, that's for airplane mode.
Sometimes it just needs a reboot.
So here's the weird thing. What you'll notice is if you actually are a pretty good updater, you'll actually get, well, except for my friend over here. She's still on iOS 8. I'd like to welcome her to the year 1990. Here's the thing. Apple actually puts software updates out sometimes just to make sure it reboots everyone's iPhone. Realistically, that's why you get software updates once or so a month, is because it does some bug fixes, but also it reboots the iPhone. Your iPhone needs to be turned completely off and on probably about once a month or so. It needs to go off and on. Android phones are a little bit different. You probably want to do that about once a week because they can get all junkied up. Now, I'm going to tell you, I saw your phone a couple minutes ago. Before you leave this cruise, I want to see your phone because you have a lot of unnecessary stuff running on that Android phone that's killing your battery life. So we'll talk about that. iPhones, you can't really have that. But you don't want to turn off your phone all the time because it actually takes significantly more power to turn it all the way off and turn it back on than it does to just leave it sleeping. So you're better off just leave the screen sleeping. One of the cool things you might have noticed, if you have at least a 6S, so if you have a 6S or a 7, what's cool is if you pick up the phone now, it'll turn on the screen briefly and show you all the notifications that are there. So I'm not picking up any buttons, I'm just going to pick up the phone. And as the phone's getting held in your hand, it's good. And then when you put it back down, it goes down. You know where that comes from? The watch. It's taken from the way the Apple Watch works. So that's where that comes from, to give you a little idea there. So it's taken from the way the Apple Watch works. So, now, how often to reboot? So about once or so a month. Now, I want to show you something that why I love, someone asked before the class, are you mostly self-taught? And I'll tell you, I am on the Apple side, I'm self-taught. I have an MBA and different stuff, but I have no official degree in Apple or degree in computers or anything like that, which is kind of interesting. Now, since I'm self-taught, what I'm about to show you is something very contentious and something a lot of people will argue with me about. These are my feelings based on my own experiences. How many of you have done what I'm about to show right now? You double click on the app, and you want to close the app, and you go, swipe up, swipe up, swipe up. Or if you want to get 2 at a time, you can go, double swipe up, double swipe up, double swipe up. Is there any reason to do that, other than to make yourself feel good? The answer is,
Should always make you
Battery life.
no, doesn't do anything on battery life. Doesn't do anything on battery life. The only reason you should ever do that is if a specific app is acting up. So if you have an app that's being stupid and not working with you, you can double tap and you can swipe up, that closes the app. It costs significantly more battery life to reopen the app from scratch than it does to have it running in the background. Now, I am telling you this as someone who builds apps. In the Apple Store, they're going to tell you, oh yeah, if you want to close all your apps, you just swipe up, swipe up, you swipe up. If you have someone that builds apps, they're going to tell you that it's safer to have the app continue running in the background so it can come back to that same state than for the user to get back to that same state from scratch, from closing the app. Does that make sense?
Even the camera.
Even the camera, yeah.
How many can you have running?
So that's an interesting question. How many can you have running and your phone still works okay? Here's something they'll also never tell you in the Apple Store. Any of you own an iPhone 6? Probably. Yeah. Did you buy your iPhone 6 at an Apple store? Now notice I didn't say Plus. I said iPhone 6.
Yeah.
You own an iPhone 6?
AT&T.
And you asked them, what's the difference between the 6 and the 6 Plus, right? Did you ask that or no?
No, because I got it before the 6
Okay.
Plus came out,
No, they all came out at the same time. The 6 and the 6 Plus came out at the same time.
sorry.
So you go, what's the difference between the 6 and the 6 Plus? Do you know the difference between the 6 and the 6 Plus? No, the Plus phones have an extra gig of RAM inside of them.
Ah,
So the Plus phones can run more apps. The 7 Plus has 3 gigs of RAM. The 7 only has 2 gigs of RAM inside. Now, what that means is you can run more applications in the background. It can do a lot more with the 2 cameras and different things like that. So what they're never going to tell you in the Apple Store is that the Plus is actually, why I keep pushing everybody to the Plus, is the Plus is actually a significantly more powerful phone. It's got 50% more power in the RAM. And the processor is the same, but when you have more RAM, you remove that bottleneck. Does that make sense? I mean, the processor in these phones is faster than the processor in most laptop computers nowadays. The processor in the iPad Pro, the big iPad Pro, the 12-inch one, is faster than most laptop computers you can buy on the market nowadays, other than Macs. The most Windows laptops processor
Is that
in
the
there.
only difference between the two?
The double, so on the Plus, you got the double camera and you got the extra RAM, but that creates a lot of difference. So the 6S Plus has an extra gig of RAM over the 6S. So just to give you an idea. So the thing is, you don't need to close those apps out to make your things faster. What you need to do is you need to clear the RAM. Now this is something I only learned back in June of last year. So I've also to understand, when I worked for Apple back in the day, the iPhone didn't exist. The iPad didn't exist. When I worked for Apple, it was the Mac and the iPod, to give you a little crazy idea. So these other products didn't exist when I worked for Apple. So I learned these tips and tricks just by going to the internet. We're going to talk about this a little bit tomorrow. So if I take my device, I need you to all go to the home screen where all your apps are, because this always messes up if we don't go to the home screen. So we're going to go to the home screen. You need to be already in with your fingerprint and your code and all that. Are we in on the home screen now?
Yeah.
So we're in on the home screen, and what we need to do now is we need to hold down the power button. So on the 6s and the 6 Pluses and the 7s, it'll be on the side. On the 5s, it'll be on the top. So we're going to hold down the power button until we get to here. We are not going to power it off. We're going to get right to this screen right here. This is something that's going to make your iPhone run a lot faster. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to hold down on the home button, the button on the front, so you can let go of the power button. Hold down the home button on this screen for about 8 seconds. And it's going to bounce back to the main screen, and it's going to seem like it's done absolutely nothing. But that has cleared your RAM on your device. It will make your device run, I'm going to give you an Apple word, much snappier. Not on that as well, no. What you have is you have an application that's running clearing your RAM on there. You don't need that. You just trust Android to do it, and that application that clears your RAM on the Android phone is actually making your phone run slower, and that's one of the things I want to help you remove. Before, yeah.
Mine's just going to Siri.
Okay, so here's the thing. You went there from the lock screen. If you went there from this screen, it's going to get you to Siri. If you try it again, go from the main screen of the device.
I was, and then I must have, like...
Yeah, if you locked it at some point, it's going to just go to Siri. But you go there, and now hold down the button on the front. And does that make sense to all of us there? Yes?
Now, is that gonna close the apps in the background, or?
Not really. It's going to remove the RAM. It's going to remove them from the RAM, and it's going to save their state to your storage on board. So it's going to save the state of those apps to your storage on board. So it's not the same as closing the apps. It frees up the RAM and makes things run faster. Do you need to do this all the time? No. If you have at least an iPhone 6S, your device is more than capable of running this software. But if you happen to sit an iPhone 6 or an iPhone 5S, it might need a little, now if you've never updated the software, you know, or in another scenario, but if you're running iOS 10 and it slows down a bit at a time, you may want to go ahead and close the apps. Now, I need to
That
go,
work on the iPad too?
it works on the iPad as well. We never say the iPad 2 because people think we're talking, no, because people think we're talking about the iPad 2. People think we're talking about the iPad 2, so we never say.
How often should you do that?
Just if something's acting weird. Just if something's acting weird. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is Bluetooth. Have any of you ever used a pair of Bluetooth headphones or a Bluetooth speaker or anything like that?
You can't buy them.
Why can't you buy them?
No, sorry,
Oh.
I asked you for one.
Yeah, no,
It's always on backlog.
the W1, but I brought them. I want to show you how it works. But if any of you, you've used Bluetooth before, right?
Yes.
You know what a pain it is to use Bluetooth?
Yeah.
What you have to do is you got to go into your settings.
Pair
You
them.
got to go into your settings. You got to go to Bluetooth. You got to look how many Bluetooth devices I have. You've got to pair them. You got to put it in pairing mode. You got to do all that. One of the coolest things Apple just invented is called the Apple W1 chip. And I think this is a bigger technical innovation, personally, than the Apple Watch. I love this, and there are 4 devices that have the Apple W1 chip inside of them, and I do have all 4 of them with me right now. Now, I'm going to show you my favorite one, which is one of the hardest things to get your hands on. Here they are. These are called AirPods. And each of our ships got 1 box of AirPods.
With the
And
AirPods I'm talking
these are
about.
the AirPods. These are the ones we were talking about. I want to show you how they work, though. Here's the coolest thing. Instead of going into settings, instead of doing all that, watch what I do. I take the case, pop it open right next to my phone, and it should, hey, because I'm going up to the screen. Come on. Oh, there we go. Done. So you see there's left AirPod, right AirPod, and the case is at 94%. Yeah, that's me. I'm Fat Tubble Lard. Don't worry about it. But here's the coolest thing. They're actually fully
Do you like these though?
wireless headphones. I don't like them. I love them.
Oh.
And just to answer a question that everybody asks us, they said, can they fall out of your ears? No. They can't fall out of your ears. I pushed it back because I didn't get it insecure enough.
You have weird earrings though.
They look a little odd.
They look a little large.
Odd.
They do.
Odd. They look a little odd.
Odd.
Yes, I'm going to show you some more traditional headphones that use that same tech, but I want to show you these because I think these are really interesting. So these are called the AirPods. They're a bit hard to get your hands on, but what's cool is the headphones themselves will last for 5 hours each. So the headphones will last for 5 hours each on their own, and then the case will charge it 5 times.
And they're expensive too, right?
They're not that, you know what, I read an article last night, and to be completely honest, they're actually below the competition. So these are $159, and most Bluetooth headphones in this same perspective are about $199, to give you an idea there. So most things within this same perspective are about $199, but here's the coolest thing. When I open this up and I pair it, it's not only paired with my iPhone, it's automatically paired with my iPad, it's automatically paired with my MacBook Pro, it's automatically paired with my Mac Mini, it's paired across all of my devices instantly, because it ties to my iCloud account. So now these are tied to my iCloud.
Car too?
What? You can, so here's the cool thing. They do work like traditional Bluetooth headphones. You ask a good question, I'm going to show you. So I have this little thing, I open them up, they're there. But if you look on the back, there's a little button. You see that little button? It's a little hard to focus on, but you see there's a little circle there? That's actually a button, and if I press that button, it will pair with things that are not Apple. So it'll pair with things that are not Apple. Now generally, you won't pair to your car, you pair your phone to your car, but you can pair this to a TV, you can pair this to the treadmills up in the gym. I don't know how many of you have been to the treadmills up in the gym. You can, no, speakers pair to, so let's make this very clear. Headphones or speakers pair 2 devices to get music from them. So you can pair this to a sound system, but this would be used instead of speakers. What this is using is it's using a special chip called the W1 chip, and I agree these look weird. I'm weird, I can wear weird things, it's fine. Yeah, I can get away with it.
Compare that to your TV.
You can pair this to an Apple TV, you can pair it to an Apple TV, you can pair it to a Roku, you can pair it to an Amazon, you can pair it to a Chromecast, you can pair it to all those different things like that. You can't pair it to many TVs directly, but TVs are starting to get Bluetooth inside, so you can pair it to Bluetooth and you can use it when you're when you don't want to bother people around you. Now, this is one form factor of them. I actually have 3 other form factors of gadgets that are the W1 chip. And these will look much more like standard headphones. So these are much more like standard headphones, and I've got those. Now these have the exact same pairing process inside of them. So if I were to turn it on, the iPhone that I'm nearest to, give it a second to do its thing. Boom, Beats Solo 3, connect. I didn't have to go to a setting, I didn't have to do anything. I've connected there. Done. 33%. I've got in here. The battery life in these headphones, it uses a brand new chip. The battery life in these headphones is 40 hours. 40 hours on these headphones.
What's the name of the headset?
These are called the Beats Solo 3. The actual technology inside is W1. So if you just look up W1 headphones, you're going to see a list of all of these. Now these are $299. These are pretty high end. They've got the bass, they've got all that. Now Apple actually, AirPods are made by Apple. Beats, I don't know how many of you know, Beats is owned by Apple now. So Beats is owned by Apple, and This is one Beats product. I'm going to show them to you in the order they came out. These are the Power Beats 3. Make it very clear, these are not the Power Beats 2 that we have in the case right in the front. We have the older ones, but these are the Power Beats 3, and I'll show you what this does. Same theory, I want to show you. And once I pair it with one device, it pairs with all of my Apple devices. So I hold it down, and Power Beats 3 pairs with all of my devices. And the last one, this is the one I just got my mom. She loves these. These are called the Beats X. Why I have black is because they perfectly blend in with my uniform, and you can't even see them. But here's what's cool. You see they go around my neck, and they magnetize together. So they're magnetic together. They charge via a lightning cable. And you can just put them in your ear like that. Listen to what's going on. When you don't want to use them, you put them like that. The nice thing is they're not rigid at all. So you can.
That's the Beats what?
These are called the Beats X. So I'll give you all the names. But here's the thing. They're all under the W1 chip umbrella. These are the only 4 headphones that have the W1 chip inside of them. And they're all under the W1 chip umbrella. So we've got, these are the Beats Solo 3. These are the Power Beats Wireless 3. And these are the Beats X. Now all 3 of these have immediate availability in most stores around the world. This one has a 6-week waiting list still from Apple. I got fortunate. I got myself a nice shipment of them, and yeah. So I love my AirPods. I will tell you, though, I'll be perfectly honest. Out of all 4 of them, I like the X the most. If you see me out in port, the one that I wear is this one because it doesn't get in your way. It's around your neck. It doesn't get in your way. This is the one I like out of all of them. But they all use that magic of that W1 chip.
And how much is that one?
This one is $149.
And are they comfy?
So to answer that question, they're comfy for me. They have a whole bunch of different ear tips that come along with them. The other cool thing, the Beats X right now, as of, what's today? Friday the 17th of March, the Beats X right now come in the box with a gift card for it's a $30 iTunes gift card that comes in the box. You're supposed to use it to get 3 months of Apple Music to try that out, but it's just a $30 iTunes gift card. So thank you, Apple, with my Beats for paying for my next 3 months of Netflix. My mom got one, I got one, my sister got one, so we got $90 in iTunes credit. We put it on my Apple account, and my Beats X have paid for my Netflix for the next 9 months, to give you a little idea there. Yeah.
Can I ask a silly question?
Yeah.
What headphones come with the Apple 7?
What headphones come with the Apple 7? So they're sitting in the bottom of my backpack in my cabin. I haven't used wired headphones forever. She asked a valid point because the iPhone 7 has no headphone jack. So they had to invent this W1 chip to work with. It comes with a pair of lightning headphones that plug in the lightning port. So it's actually got lightning headphones. So it's earpods. It's the earpods that came with the iPhone 6 and all those other like that, but it plugs into the charging jack. So you just have one plug inside. What they did is they removed the headphone jack to waterproof it and add more battery inside of the phone. So this is the weird thing. Every year since the original iPhone, this is going to sound strange, they've actually put a smaller battery inside the phones. This year there's actually a much bigger battery inside the 7 Plus than there is inside the 6 Plus because they removed the headphone jack and it gave them more room to put a bigger battery inside. I've used Bluetooth headphones for years. I have not used wired headphones in about 4 or 5 years. But I always found it painful because here's what's really cool. I can be listening to some music in the gym on these. I go back to my cabin. I want to watch a video on my laptop. As soon as my laptop is closer than my phone, it'll switch over because they're both tied to my Apple account. These are called the W1 chips, Bluetooth W1s. So what we're going to talk about is...
My Bluetooth pairs with my hearing aid.
Yes. What'd you say again?
What?
Okay.
I can talk on the phone now.
Yeah, it's
Couldn't
great.
used to.
So I've got one more set of things we're going to talk about today. If you look at this list, where we're going to stop, where we've stopped every single cruise is invert colors. So we're going to take care of what's the name of your device, how many apps do you have on your device, how much space do you need, internal versus external storage speed, serial number and its uses, and Wi-Fi MAC address. We're going to pick up tomorrow at invert colors, but I want to let you know now I have a logical stopping point, if that makes sense. And then tomorrow we're going to finish invert colors, and I've got some apps I want to show with you. Now these are not apps I would ever show in Celebrity Central because they require questions and they require explanation, and they also require a very clear screen to show. If that makes sense. I have a very nice clear screen in here. But I want to go ahead, I want you to go into settings, and then general. And then you should see, for all the Americans in the room, you'll see about. For the Canadians, you'll see a boot.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. And I'm sorry. Sorry.
That's all right.
That's I'm Canadian. I'm just apologizing.
I am
Okay,
English,
okay.
I got
Okay,
it.
good. So,
But I'm English Canadian, so.
you're English Canadian.
I'm a subset.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm sorry, would you like some tea? Okay, done. Okay, so, we should be able to click into settings, general, and about, and you will see on the top it says name. Do we see that? What is the name of your device?
Put my own name.
Yours says iPhone 7. Whose of yours says your name's iPhone?
Richard's iPhone.
Who says something irrelevant? It's like iPhone or something like that. Yours just says iPhone 7. We need to make sure that it says something related to you, because later in the class, tomorrow, we're gonna identify people's phones around us. So I want us to go in. If it doesn't say your name, you're gonna click in and you're gonna change it to Judy's iPhone or whatever. So just click in, and you can change the name of the device, because that's how it's seen to other devices around you. Does that make sense to all of us? That's how it's seen to all the other devices around you. Now, you'll notice that my name on my phone is, what is it? iLounge Manager iPod Touch. You want to know why? I'll tell you why. Because I was given an iPod Touch to use on board. And I don't want to carry on my iPod Touch and my iPhone, so I just named my iPhone iPod Touch, and then nobody can see that I'm not carrying around my iPod Touch. Don't tell anyone. Okay, so.
As you have that up.
Oh, don't worry about that. I'll bleep that later. I got good bleeping. Then you'll see network. Most of yours should say airplane mode. Am I right in that assumption?
No.
Not available airplane mode. It might say not available. It might say carrier. Will probably say airplane mode when we get later on. But it'll say network not available because we're not connected to a cell network right now. I always have my Wi-Fi calling, which we'll go over again tomorrow before the class tomorrow. I'm gonna take a look at it before the 3:30 class. If you want to go through Wi-Fi calling again, about 5-10 minutes before, we'll go through Wi-Fi calling one more time. But then you'll see the number of songs, the number of videos, the number of photos that you have. I have one song, 146 videos, and 5,681 photos. Can anybody beat me in having more than 317 apps?
304.
Oh, so close. Now,
Deleting.
when I use an iPhone for about a year, meaning that I use my iPhone for a whole cycle, when I got rid of my iPhone 6S, well, it's actually sitting right over there, but when I got rid of my iPhone 6S, you can actually look at all this on your iPad. So this is all on the iPad, so you can switch over to your iPad for the rest of the class. When I got my iPhone 6S, and when I got my iPhone 7, my 6S had 730 apps. So it had 730 apps on there. That's about what I run, but I only have 317 right now. That makes sense how many applications we have. Now, here's the thing to understand. Applications are not what's taking up the storage space on your device. What's taking up all the storage space on your device is your photos and videos. And I very well hope we've solved that problem with Google Photos. We at least get the concept, and you'll solve it once you get home. Because that application, honestly, I keep going back to it, is the single best application I've ever seen made for mobile devices. And I mean mobile devices because it'll work on anything. But here's what I want to worry about. Capacity and available. Who has a number there that's less than 16 in capacity? That's because you bought the smallest iPhone, right? You bought the 16 gig iPhone. Yeah, you said, I want an iPhone. And they said, here you go. Here's your iPhone.
I don't even know what it is at a 6.
That's a 6 for sure. The way you'll know if it's a 6 Plus, I'll take a look at that. Not a 6 Plus. The way you know if it's a 6S is because the 6S has a pressure-sensitive screen. So the 6S screen, you won't see it unless you go to an app. Go out to your phone real quick. I'll teach you how to do that. Go to your camera. Press hard on the camera. Press really hard on the camera. Does it do anything?
Everything shakes.
Okay, no, it's a 6. It's not a 6S.
Okay.
The 6S, I'm going to show you what I just had her do. If you have a 6S or a 7 and you press hard on the camera, it's going to actually give you options, because it's actually a pressure-sensitive screen. But that's a discussion for another time. I just wanted to show you what I was looking at. Now, capacity. Capacity, 16 gigs is what some of you have, but it doesn't say 16, does it? It says like 12, right?
Right, 13.5.
15.5 is your capacity?
13.05 is what goes.
Oh, okay, that's unique, because most people have about 12, am I right?
Right.
So you got something weird. It's okay. 11.97. You have some kind of weird phone that doesn't take up that much space. Good job. I don't know how that's happening. Okay. So, in capacity, not in available. In capacity, it says 15. Okay.
15.05.
13.
13.
Oh, I heard 15.05. That's what I heard you say. No, okay. 13.05 sounds about right. Because that's what's called the formatted capacity. So the formatted capacity is a little bit different than the actual capacity. but capacity is not what I care about. What I care about is available. Do any of you have less than 2 gigabytes available?
Yes.
Yeah? Anybody got less than 2 gigs? Or does it say megabytes?
Yeah, megabyte.
Yeah, that's not good. 1 gig is 1,000 megs.
Yeah.
So the thing is, remember when we were talking about RAM? We were talking about RAM. He asked about RAM, the differences inside the phone. The iPhone 6 and the iPhone 7, when they don't have enough memory to run what they need to in RAM, they store it inside the phone. And if you have less than 2 gigs of free storage space, your phone's going to start running really slow, and it's going to start running really. So the best way to clear up that storage space is use the Google Photos and go to Google Photos. Yeah,
That's what I did already.
and use. Okay, so you did that already.
So it's not, yeah, when I get home, it'll.
When you get home, you do it. But make sure once you did it, did you go into your photos and remove it from recently deleted? Okay. So I'm going to re-look at this real quick because it's a capacity problem. Once you delete something from Google Photos, you need to go down to recently deleted in the camera roll thing, in the photos here, and then delete them again. Because it just throws them in the garbage can. It takes 30 days to actually remove them from the garbage can. He's got it. Okay. So again, you go into albums, and then you go into recently deleted.
Okay, and then what do you do?
And then you delete them. So what I'll do real quick is I'm going to delete something.
Stay as
Recently
albums?
deleted, where do I see that?
So take, for example, these 3 pictures that I took that I don't really care about. Not in Google Photos, but in the Photos app, you'll see albums and I have recently deleted. These 3 pictures right here, they're in the garbage can, but they're not going to delete for 30 days.
But then what?
So you watch my screen, I'll show you, and then what? I'll answer your then what. So you see these 3 things say 30 days on them?
Yeah.
I need to hit select and say delete all.
Well, I just picked up about 45 and big.
Yay! Okay, here's the cool thing. It's going to take a little bit to calculate your new free gig space.
Yay. They deleted them.
Yay! Okay. Now here's the thing. Google Photos tells you need to do that, but do we all just hit dismiss anyway? Not pay attention to it? Of course we do. So, we want to have at least 2 gigs free. You notice I have a 256 gig phone, and I have 122 gigs free. Last year I got a 128 gig phone. I said I'm never going to fill that phone. This year, hopefully I get a 512 gig phone, and I say I'm never going to fill that phone. I'm really hoping for a 512 gig iPhone in this year's iPhone, because I need a 512 gig. The next thing underneath it is version. Do you see version? What version is your software on?
10.2.
10.2.1.
Yeah.
The most recent update is 10.2.1. It is not 8.0.1.
10.2?
10.2.1 is the latest. Now here's the thing. As long as you're on 10, you're okay. As long as you're on 10, you're okay. You'll notice that I'm on 10.1.1. It doesn't matter. As long as you're on 10, you're okay. The problem that she's having, we're going to talk about her for a second, but it's okay. She's on 8. Now what happens is some apps won't even show up when she searches because you require at least iOS 9. So you want to make sure you keep your phone up to date. When they're not updating your phone anymore, do we have any iPhone 4 users in this room?
My husband.
When they're not updating your phone anymore, it's time to get a new phone. So yeah, it's time to get a new phone when they stop updating it, because they update it as long as they possibly can. Now, something we didn't talk about. Something interesting. Where's my phone here? I'm missing a phone. Okay. So something we didn't talk about that's on this list is you'll notice it says internal versus external storage. Correct? You see that there. Now, I teased my wireless flash drive today. I'm going to show you all that in Central tomorrow, but I won't have time for questions in Central tomorrow. So when we come back at 3:30 tomorrow, I'm going to show you the wireless flash drive a little bit more that I teased during the class today. But here's the thing. If you have an Android phone, right, this is my Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge. This is not the one that blows up. It's the one before that. But if you have a Samsung phone or an Android phone or others, you can actually expand the storage with an SD card. So you know you can put an SD card. You can't put an SD card in an iPhone. Here's the reason why. The iPhone, it wants all of the storage you have on the iPhone to be as fast as possible. External storage is much slower. If you were to take this phone, do you have an SD card on your Samsung phone? If you were to take this phone, so both mine and her phone only have 32 gigs of storage. And you look at me right now and say, Rich, I'm ashamed in you. You bought a phone that has 32 gigs in storage. You should be smarter than that. The problem was last year's Samsung phone was only sold with 32 gigs of storage. And they said, well, you need to expand it by putting in a memory card. If you take a burst of pictures, or you take a panorama, or you take anything that needs to use the memory really fast, it can't put it on the memory card. It has to put it on the device. If you're watching an HD video, it has to be on the device. So what Apple did, a lot of people go, well, why doesn't Apple let you put memory cards or anything in there? Because it wants all of your storage to be as fast as possible. Does that make sense? So all of your apps and everything are stored. It's not because Apple's evil. It's because the Samsung phone, it really annoys me. I have this Samsung virtual reality headset that I put on the phone and I can look around and everything like that. And the problem is, 32 gigs, how much virtual reality content can I fit on 32 gigs? Almost nothing, to give you an idea. Because it's not normal video, it's HD video in 360 degrees. So the trouble is that we're going to talk about external storage, but the more important thing is your internal storage. What's inside of your device? Does that make sense? Because that's the fastest storage you have. The fastest storage you have is what is inside of your device. Now the last thing we're going to talk about is the serial number. Now this is going to be interesting, and you think you know. What does the serial number tell you about your device? If it's really your device. So when you buy your device, you have the serial number in a couple places. You have it on the receipt of the device, hopefully. If you ever buy something somewhere and they don't print the serial number on the receipt, then they're not a legitimate Apple seller. I have people all the time, I really hope none of you did this, that buy products in Bull Chance. You know the place that's in the Caribbean?
Yes.
The little, yeah. If you buy a product in Bull Chance, they give you a receipt with the serial number written. For Apple warranty purposes, what good is that receipt? No. Toilet paper. It's toilet paper. It's not going to do you any good. So you need to make sure that on your receipt, you have the serial number. Also, on the box of the phone, you've got the serial number. When you register your Apple account, when you type in your Apple account, it registers it to your Apple account. You've got the serial number. Also, on this, on the phone, right here, you have the serial number. Another place you have the serial number is printed very, very tiny on the back of the device is the serial number. I had to call Apple and give them the serial number of a phone. I couldn't see it. I guess I need glasses now. You need 2 magnifying glasses. It's ridiculous. I'm going to tell you what's interesting that happened. This is a true story. So I had my old iPhone right here. I was going to give it to my mom or my sister or someone like that, and I just kind of left it. I plugged it in every month or so when I was home. This is after I got my iPhone 7. I plugged it in every month or so when I was home. I had my old iPhone. Where's my story going? So I erased it. One day I go to turn it back on, turn it on, and guess what? It is locked. No. To an Apple address at a Yahoo account. Richie don't have no Yahoo account, let's be completely honest. So what happened was, someone had stolen the serial number on my phone when I deactivated it and used it to fake a stolen iPhone. Remember how I stole the guy's iPhone in the class earlier?
Right.
He went in and replaced the serial number, replaced it with his Yahoo address, and I called Apple and I said, I can't activate my own iPhone that I own. And what I had to do is I had to send them a copy of my receipt with my name on it to prove that I owned this iPhone. So a serial number is a very, very important thing. And you want to make sure you keep your receipts. In email's fine. I mean, I had my receipt in email. But I could have been SOLTF if this guy, because it was just tied to a Yahoo account, I didn't know the password for that Yahoo account. Someone had hacked my, so these things happen as well, to be completely honest, is that I had an empty serial number that was sitting around and someone guessed the serial number and tied it to a stolen device and went in and then locked my phone with the information from that stolen device. They swapped the serial numbers. Now Apple used to have a website where you could check if a device was stolen or not. They've taken that website down because people were using it to identify phones that were not locked to an Apple account. They're using it for the opposite purpose, so that's why they took down the website. But the serial number is something we should all have somewhat access to. Some of us have the boxes, some of us have the receipts, have the email, But here's something we don't have access to, and this is what I want to end on today. It's something called the Wi-Fi address. Do you see that there? The Wi-Fi address is also known as the MAC address. Now, it has nothing to do with the Mac in front of you. It stands for Machine Authentication Controls. I didn't know what it stood for. Someone Googled it last week. It stands for Machine Authentication Control. And what that is the Wi-Fi address of your that is the serial number of your Wi-Fi card. That's what that is. So that's the serial number of your Wi-Fi card. So, every time you sign into any website, you put in a username, you put in a password, and what it sends is it sends your username and password, but it also sends your Wi-Fi address. Because this is a unique number that identifies this device. There are hundreds of billions of permutations of 26 numbers and letters there.
The other thing you can do is take a picture of.
We're gonna do that, okay? We got it.
Well, you was keeping the serial number.
Well, yeah, we're gonna take a picture of it because the Wi-Fi address is not written anywhere other than on the phone right here, is what I'm trying to say. So the Wi-Fi address is unique to your device. Now I wanna give you another situation where the Wi-Fi, yeah,
How many numbers you supposed to have?
you might be zoomed in on your device. You've got it cut off there.
Yeah, cause
Yeah.
there's 3 dots.
It's because you've got your zoom on. We can turn off your zoom and we can talk about that a bit later. We're gonna get into that tomorrow.
Does Apple assign that number?
This is a randomly assigned number. It's assigned by Apple. It can never change. And it's the physical serial number of your device's Wi-Fi chip. Now, let me give you some little, what do they call it, inside baseball. Every time you sign into our Wi-Fi system on board, if you sign into the Wi-Fi system on board, we capture your IP address and we also capture your Wi-Fi address. So we capture your Wi-Fi address. We don't do anything nefarious with it, okay? I'm going to tell you someone who does, though. Any of you ever been on a Disney Cruise Line ship? If you've been on a Disney Cruise Line ship and you have the kids that have the Disney app on their phone, they actually use the Disney app to track the kids around the ship. And Disney World actually tracks, when you connect to the Wi-Fi in Disney World, it tracks you around the park and watches where you move inside of Disney. Now, we have that Wi-Fi address, and I think what's very interesting is I will sometimes go out and I'll leave my iPhone somewhere. I have a recording of my Wi-Fi address. I can go into my system, I can type in the Wi-Fi address, and it'll tell me which Wi-Fi router it's closest to, and where that Wi-Fi router is if it's connected to Wi-Fi. Now, I had someone who had lost their cell phone. A couple months ago, I was on this ship, they had lost their cell phone, and they said, can you help me find my cell phone? And it wasn't online or anything, but here's what I had. I had their Wi-Fi address. So as long as it was still connected to Celebrity Wi-Fi, guess what I could do? I could use 3 Wi-Fi routers and triangulate its location.
That's amazing. Lost the iPad on the ship
Yeah.
2 days ago, my husband's iPad.
Yeah?
And I find my iPhone, the
Yeah.
iPad,
Yeah?
and I put on the lost iPad
Yeah.
with the
Yep, but here's the thing to understand, that it needs to be online to do that.
Right.
You see, so this address is very unique because it can be identified on a network. When I was working in a university, someone stole one of my laptops, and I actually knew exactly where they were sitting using the stolen laptop. I got the police, we came up behind them, and we surprised them. Because here's the great thing, the laptop was worth over $1,000, therefore that was grand theft. So that was not a smart idea to steal that laptop, but we walked up behind them. Now this is something you don't have anywhere but on this screen. So what we want to do is we want to take a screenshot of it. Now, where this becomes beneficial is we have the serial number and we have the Wi-Fi address. So if you get something stolen and you need to file a police report, you give them those 2 pieces of information. Because here's the thing to understand. I'll get you the screenshot in a few seconds. A serial number only does you good. A serial number only does you any good if someone physically has the device. A Wi-Fi address can help you track the device. Does that make sense there? So there's a major difference there. How we take a screenshot is we're going to press, and if you don't do the whole thing, I'll get that fixed in a couple minutes. You're going to press the button on the side, which is the power button, and the button on the front, which is the home button, very briefly at the same time. And it's going to take a screenshot.
went black.
Okay. So very briefly at the same time, you'll do it. If you hold them down for more than about 5 seconds, your device is going to reboot.
Yes, it did.
Yes. Very briefly,
Now it's in my.
and now it's in your photos, and you go, well, now it's in my photos, but hopefully, this is to show you something really cool. Guess where it also is?
In your Google Photos.
It's in your Google Photos, and in Google Photos, if you go to search, there's actually a function for screenshots.
Very cool.
So I can go in, and I've got it right inside, and I can see all of my screenshots directly inside of Google Photos, which is very, very cool. On the Samsung, you'll find that in your information. You go into Settings, General, and then About, and you'll find it'll be called a MAC address on your device. That's really quite cool. Now, for today, that's where we're going to finish. Tomorrow, we are picking up with accessibility. We're going to talk about invert colors, reduce motion, guided access. We're also going to talk about the night shift mode and all of that. So that's the first part of tomorrow's class. The first part of it is finishing the rest of this list. It takes about a half an hour or so to finish this list. And then we've got another 45 minutes or so of apps I will never show in Celebrity Central. What I'm going to show you tomorrow, I'm actually doing this class that we're going to do. I'm not going to call it this, but I'm going to show you a very interesting class tomorrow in here, part of it that I'm doing for the crew next cruise. It's a great loaded answer. Managing content on your iPhone and iPad without iTunes. Think about that for a second. Imagine if you could just take any device, connect your iPhone or iPad up to it, and drop movies, drop music, drop documents on it without using iTunes. That's going to be a big part of the second part of tomorrow's class. It's going to be managing the content on your device without iTunes, as well as we're going to talk about some stock trading apps. We're going to talk about all kinds of different stuff, apps that don't translate well into Celebrity Central, and some pretty advanced apps. 3:30 again. So we've got a 1 o'clock tomorrow on Gmail, and that's going to be in Central. And then we've got a 3:30 in here. If you have any questions, you can come see me either before the 3:30 class, or I will be here from 10:30 until 12. Ron is going to be helping with internet on that table. I'm going to be helping with everything else on that table. We split up for the last day. We usually stay on the same table, but I'm going to have all my gadgets and everything else on that table. That'll be from 10:30 till 12 tomorrow morning. And then at 1 o'clock, we've got Google Photos, and at 3:30, we're back in here. Cool. That's it.